Hi, and welcome to another edition of Good Deeds. It is brought to you by justserve.org. If you're looking for ways to get involved with organizations that are making a difference in the lives of people in our community, justserve.org is a wonderful place to start because there are tons of options and tons of organizations that are doing good deeds every single day here in the Sacramento area. Today, I am talking to Megan Adamski from A Touch of Understanding. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to tell us about the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me this morning, Sheryl. It's great to
Oh,
be
it is
here.
an absolute pleasure. First of all, for people that are unfamiliar with the work that you do, tell us what A Touch of Understanding is doing in our community for both individuals and the community as a whole.
So, we provide disability awareness programs primarily to school children, elementary school children, but we have other programs beyond that as well. But our main program is our in school disability awareness workshop where students get to use tools to better understand disabilities. So, they use wheelchairs and white mobility canes and write their name in Braille, handle braces and artificial arms and legs, and then do a couple stations to better understand learning differences and autism. But then, in addition to those hands-on activity stations, they also get to meet some of our volunteer speakers who have disabilities, and these speakers share openly and honestly about their own lives and provide a safe space where students can ask questions. Because in providing that, in answering those questions and providing that education, barriers come down. Barriers, that are misunderstanding that lead to bullying, exclusion, that kind of thing, those come down, and friendships and inclusion and acceptance are results.
There are so many different kinds of disabilities, and until you've experienced one, it is really hard to understand. And so that's why this work you're doing is so important, and we really appreciate what you are doing. What are some of the common misunderstandings that you encounter with people as you're out doing this work?
Well, as I mentioned, the vast majority of the individuals who go through our workshop are elementary school students, and so generally third to sixth grade is the average age group that we work with. And at that age, especially, oftentimes bullying, mistreatment, it doesn't come from a mean and malicious place. It comes from just simply not knowing, not understanding.
Mhm.
And so when we come onto a campus and we bring these tools and let students utilize these tools and interact with our volunteers, they then get a better understanding of disabilities, and they can then understand why a peer in their classroom may act the way that they do or do the things they do or use a wheelchair or anything like that. But then they can also understand that that peer still wants to and enjoys playing games out at recess and going to birthday parties and all those kinds of things. And they really find that they're far more alike than they are different.
Must be
And so we just provide that space for those misunderstandings. We provide the education for the fear and the misunderstanding to be replaced by friendship and acceptance.
Well, it is fantastic work that you're doing. How can the community best support what you're doing?
So, for one thing, checking out our website, touchofunderstanding.org, there's lots of opportunities. We're always looking for volunteers. We always need volunteers at our workshops, and we're really excited that starting in March, we'll be back on school campuses for the first time in 2 years. Over the last 2 years, as most organizations have, we have pivoted and grown and created new programs to adapt to school environment and distance learning and all kinds of things. But we're really, really excited to be back on campus and in person starting in March. And so in that way, we're always looking for volunteers, and we use volunteers at our activity stations, volunteer speakers. So we're always looking for volunteers with and without disabilities. Somebody doesn't need to have a disability to volunteer with us. And we also have an upcoming event. It's called Evening of Insight, and it's our annual fundraiser. It's a really neat experience where guests are guided through a meal under blindfold. So again, it's taking our experiential kind of premise, and we actually have a program that we provide to businesses called Dark Meals, and it's where we lead guests through a meal under blindfold. And we took that program and expanded it into our fundraiser. So for part of the evening, for the dinner meal portion of the evening, guests will be guided through this experience under blindfold by one of our longtime volunteers and incredible speakers. Her name is Darlene O'Brien, and she has navigated her own life's journey with blindness for more than 20 years. So she's humorous and fun and does an excellent job at engaging participants as they navigate the meal.
Yeah. You don't realize how much we depend on our sight until something happens to impair it. And something as simple as eating is actually a really big challenge. So that should be really eye-opening for people. No pun intended.
Well, eye-opening is the most common phrase to describe our dark meal. Whenever we provide it, participants always walk away saying it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with the meal, and Darlene's a lot of fun. So it's a good time as well.
Fantastic. That is March 31st, and you can find out more information at atouchofunderstanding.org. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about the work that you're doing out there. We are so fortunate to have a touch of understanding in our community.
Thank you so much for having me this morning, Cheryl. It's been great to be here.